Hey love, so welcome back. Today we're going to be doing my best of beauty for 2024. So I'm going to show you all of my favorite and most used drugstore makeup from this past year. So grab a snack, get cozy, and let's get into it. So this past year I rediscovered my NYX Micro Brow Pencil in the shade Black. I also use the shade Espresso sometimes if I want a little bit of a lighter shade. It does a really good job at mimicking brow hairs. It has that super precise tip. You get a spoolie on the end. It's a really great formula. It comes in a bunch of different shades, and I've been outlining and filling in my brows with this brow pencil, and it is fabulous. Another NYX product that I recently started using to clean up my brows, but you could use it honestly in a bunch of different ways, and that is the NYX Pro Fix Correcting Concealer. I really like this to clean up the brows because it has a little bit of a thicker formula, but it is still super creamy, and it just does a really nice job at giving me that carved out look. But I also love this for spot concealing because it is so creamy and lightweight. It's not too thick, it doesn't get cakey, and you can actually blend this in with your fingers because that's how creamy it is. And whenever I do my drugstore looks, like today, I use it to prime my lids as well because it does conceal any veins and discoloration that I have. And then eyeshadow applies nicely over top of it as well. I cannot believe how good this Ardell brow glue is. If you like that fluffy laminated brow, you're going to love this. So you get the brow glue, and then you also get this little spatula spoolie. Mine is extra crusty because she's very loved. I use this every time I do my brows. Surprisingly, it comes with it, but it's really good. You just apply the product and you don't want to let it sit because it does dry very quickly. So I recommend working one brow at a time. Apply it, then take your little spatula and just start fluffing your brows and shaping them how you like. And that is it. Your brows are not moving. They're gonna stay in place all day, and there's no residue with this brow glue. Let's move into eyeshadows now. I have the Wet n Wild Always Naked palette, which of course I have to mention because I have talked about and used this in so many videos. This is for those of you who love a good neutral go-to palette. It's nice too because I feel like you have a good variety of light, medium, and darker tones, so you could totally do a day to night look with this. I love it whenever I just want a very basic neutral look, and I loved this one so much that I ended up picking up the Always Blushing palette, and I think this complements the Always Naked really nicely. This one has a little bit more of those blush mauve tones. I love these with different eyeshadow palettes as well. I'm actually wearing this with another palette that I'll show you, but such a good formula, such good variety in this one as well, and like you get a good amount of shadows in here for the price too, so you cannot go wrong with Wet n Wild shadows. I think these are the best palettes that I've tried from them as of recently. They're so good. Then Makeup Revolution came out with these gorgeous eyeshadow palettes. I have a few variations, but this one is my favorite. It is the True Icon. This one has those pinky warm tones. I did a comparison between this and the Patrick Ta Major Dimension palette. This is a beautiful alternative if you don't want to break the bank and you want a really beautiful pinky warm tone palette. This is also what I'm wearing on my eyes today. The shimmers in here are wet, they're metallic, they're intense, they look beautiful with your finger. And I've tried a bunch of different Makeup Revolution palettes, and I definitely think this is by far their best formula. It just feels better than what they already have, which I do like their eyeshadows currently, but these just feel a little bit more elevated. And I love the variety in here also because you get mattes, you get a bunch of shimmers in here, wet shimmers, by the way. And you get two creams, which you could use as eyeliner or you could use as a base for other eyeshadows over top. Now let's get into mascaras. So starting off with one of my all-time favorites from CoverGirl, the Clean Topia. I got the waterproof this year, and this is fantastic with holding a curl, especially if you have very straight lashes. I totally recommend heating up your lash curler and just using a lash curler in general if you have not, and if you have straight lashes, because it does make a difference. And then mascara just pops so much more on your lashes that way. Has a very nice wand. It's not too big, it's not too small. This does not flake, it doesn't get clumpy. I like this too because it gives me a little bit of everything. I get some length, I get a little bit of volume, I get some separation, and I love it so much that I got the waterproof version, I have the brown version, and I got the navy version because this looks really nice with brown eyes. And whenever I do any type of cool tone looks, I love to use this navy mascara. So I'm kind of cheating a little bit, but I wanted to mention this mascara that I swear this is what made me not really want to wear false lashes anymore towards the end of the year, and that is the Haley's Beauty Reveal Lash Lengthening Mascara. This gives so much length. That's what mainly it does. It combs through, it separates and lengthens your lashes. If you want volume, I recommend using this as a base and then adding another mascara over top. Sometimes I do that, sometimes I just wear it on its own, and this gives a ton of length. This is the most comfortable thin wand I have in my collection. I actually don't have a wand wand like this. It's slightly curved. It's thin, but it's not too thin, but it allows you to get and reach every single lash, top and bottom, and the wand is so incredibly comfortable. It hugs your eyes very nicely. If you have very sensitive eyes like me, if your eyes get watery, this mascara you are going to love. And if you have pin straight lashes, which hello, yes, I do. I really like it with the Haley's lash curler as well. This is the one that I've been using. That is why I was always wearing falsies, because I feel like you could never see my lashes whenever I was wearing mascara because my lashes were so straight, and a lot of formulas make them droop and fall down, but this one is so good. Same with the CoverGirl one. Now let's talk eyeliners. I have the Wet n Wild Color Icon multi-stick in the shade Chocolate Cheat Day. I use this as an eyeliner because it is so creamy and pigmented, and I love the tone of it because it has this reddish undertone. This is super creamy. You could apply this all over your lid, blend it out. You could use it as a base for other eyeshadows. It's very versatile. And then probably the best black eyeliner I've tried at the drugstore. It's the Rimmel Exaggerate Waterproof Eye Definer in the shade Blackest Black. It's retractable, and I got it in a 2-pack originally from Walmart. It is so dark. This is darker and more creamy than some of my high-end eyeliners that I love. Look at that. Such a rich eye kohl. I love that you don't have to sharpen it, so you could just bring this on the go if you want to touch up. You also do get this little like smudger at the end if you wanted to smudge out your liner. I can't really find Rimmel at a lot of Walmart stores. I have to get it online, but it's worth it because it's literally the best. CoverGirl came out with these skin enhancer primers, and these two were my favorite. Starting off with the Sticky Grip. This is just that. It's similar to the Power Grip primer from e.l.f., but it's not as tacky. It's more of a mild version of that one, but this applies like a hydrating serum. It feels like skincare, which I really love, but once it absorbs into the skin, it leaves behind a very light, tacky base, and your makeup looks so good over top of this. I really like the way this makes my skin look too, because it's just very balanced and hydrated. I also did enjoy the CoverGirl Skin Enhancer Velvet Blur Primer. This gives very smooth skin. It has a lightweight, very silky texture. Almost feels like a balm, but it's not as thick as a traditional balm or putty primer. At first I thought this was going to be a dupe for the Hourglass Vanish Primer. Unfortunately, it's not a dupe. I think it's a nice alternative. It's not identical, and I don't think it's as smoothing as the one from Hourglass, but you will get a nice poreless finish with this primer. It's not super intense, but foundation looks really nice over top of it. So I like this because it is so silky and lightweight, and it doesn't feel too thick. But I recently discovered the Milani Blur Out Smoothing Primer, and I literally already am hitting pan on this. But this is good. Much thicker than the CoverGirl primer. I do find it to be, like I said, a little bit more intense with the pore filling and the smoothness. It also goes on and it feels cooling. A lot of balms like this, sometimes they can feel very matte on the skin, and they can leave behind a little bit of a dry residue, or almost like a white cast if it's drying out the skin too much. But this one, it truly feels like you have a whole cucumber, like a big slice of cucumber covering your entire face when you put this on. I don't know what they did, but I love it. Reminds me a lot of the Glowish Blur Jam Primer from Huda Beauty. So if you like this kind of texture, and even the textures of them in the packaging, you're gonna love the one from Milani. Let's talk about the fact that this e.l.f. Soft Glam Satin Foundation is still in rotation for me. I discovered this back in the summertime, but it is too good. I cannot put it down. Medium buildable coverage, long lasting, totally agree. I like it too because it doesn't get overly oily on my skin throughout the day, even in the summertime when I was using this. So it's a very comfortable formula. The satin finish is perfect because you get that happy medium where it's not too dewy, it's not too matte. I also find this to be super smooth, especially when you pair it with the Milani primer. Your pores are gone. And if you love a more natural, glowy, healthy complexion, then you are going to love the skin tint from Wet n Wild. I have this one in the color, which might be a little bit tan for me, by the way, medium, just because I was using this a lot in the summertime. This is pretty because it's glowy and you do get that very healthy look, but it does provide some coverage. So even though it's skin tint, it's not completely light coverage. I wanted to mention also this About Face Skin Focused Foundation. So you can find this at Ulta. It's in the affordable / drugstore section at Ulta. It's $22, so it's a little bit pricier. It's kind of like higher end drugstore, but I wanted to mention it because it is a very good foundation as well. If you're into skincare and makeup, this is it. it. It comes in 45 different shades and it has less coverage than the Soft Glam Satin Foundation from e.l.f., by the way. So if you're looking for something for day to day that's just a little bit more lightweight, then you're gonna really love this. I have this one in the color LM1 Neutral. With the packaging, I feel like either you love it or you don't. It is a big doe foot. I don't really mind it because the product itself is really nice and it just makes your skin look so healthy and fresh. As far as bronzers, I was pretty much using a lot of the same cream and liquids this year. So Cheek Kiss cream bronzer from Milani. This will forever have my heart. I love the shade Hey Honey 110. Sometimes I will also mix in the shade 120 Spilling Tea, which is a little bit more on the warmer side. Where is it? So this is what they both look like side by side. Very similar. This is 120. This is 110. Slightly different undertones, so that's why I like mixing them, or just either or by themselves. They're nice too, but very blendable cream bronzer. It's simple, you know, there's not much to it. It just gets the job done and it gives you a beautiful wash of color that doesn't look muddy. And even if you do too much, it's so easy to blend that it's very forgiving. And whether you're a beginner or an expert or a makeup artist, I think you would really enjoy this formula because it's so easy and like it's just very pleasant to work with because it takes little to no effort. And then if it's not Milani, it's typically either my NYX contour stick, which I do love, or my ColourPop bronzer stick. So there's a lot of really good ones. And this is a dupe for the Rare Beauty bronzer stick. This one is in Moonstone Beach, by the way, but it's just a good, easy product. If you want to skip out on powder bronzer and just do the cream, this one is great. It'll last you a long time too, because I feel like with these sticks, you don't need a lot because it's so pigmented, and a little bit goes a long way to just give you that perfect little wash of color. So forever favorites. And then for blush, we have quite a few blushes. I wanted to mention Camo Liquid Blushes from e.l.f. I believe, when did these come out? End of 2023 or beginning of 2024? But they came out with new shades at the very end of last year. And this is a new favorite for me, Bold Face Lilac. The prettiest purpley pink. If you're into that bubblegum shade, you're gonna really like this by itself or even as a mixing blush. This is stunning. These are really also very blendable. And this is also, speaking of Rare Beauty, I do think these could be a dupe for the liquid blushes from Rare Beauty, but you can apply them directly to the skin and you are able to get a nice blend with them. But you could also apply it, of course, from the back of your hand, from here, take a brush and then apply it. And that's also a really easy way to work with liquid blush as well, where it's not too overwhelming. But I love the color and the finish that these leave behind. And they just give you the most perfect amount of color, but you could definitely amp it up and do a lot and get a lot of pigment, or you could tone it down and keep it very light and natural. And these are going to give you that very pretty glowy cheek as well. And then this is a newer brand from 2024 that I really loved, Pretty Smart. You could find them at Walmart. And I completely fell in love with this extra pretty blush in the shade Behind the Scenes. It is that bubblegum, very hot pink, but if you go to Walmart or you go online, they have other blush shades as well, but this one is just my favorite because it's a nice topper. It enhances other pink blushes. It's super pigmented, so I usually like to use this with a very light, fluffy brush just so that I can gradually build up the color. But even then, you're gonna get a good amount of pigment even with a light brush. So if you use a dense brush, it's gonna be even more intense. So just a little FYI. And the founders of this brand, Pretty Smart, are the same founders of The Balm Cosmetics. Do you guys remember that brand? It was one of my favorites when I was getting into makeup, but this is a good one, and nothing is over $10 at Walmart. So love that one. And then this is another color that I do like. It's called Goddess. It's more of like that natural rose. These have no powdery residue, by the way. You could dip your brush in here. It's just a very lightweight, silky blush. It feels very luxe. It actually kind of reminds me of The Balm. Like I can see that formula in a lot of their formulas now with this brand. All of their powders feel like they're pressed so nicely and they just feel luxe. So definitely recommend this brand. And then I also really enjoyed these Butter Melt blushes. So I made the mistake when I first got these of getting the very bright shades because I didn't realize how pigmented they are, but wow, they are intense. So I got Butter Together and then Suna the Butter. These are like the lighter shades. So I like this one because it gives a little bit of that baby pink cheek, but these are gonna give you a glow. So if you're into a glow, you're gonna like these. This one from NYX gives that baby pink color with that very light frosty sheen. I'm wearing this today and I love this kind of glowy cheek because I don't really wear a lot of highlighter these days. So I pretty much like using a very light blush as a highlighter, and it's very frosty. So it's for those of you who like a frosty baby pink cheek. For my medium, tanner, deeper skin tones, you guys have to try the bolder shades of these from NYX because they are very pigmented and intense, and I love it honestly because we have a lot of light blushes at the drugstore, so it was about time we get some bolder shades. I'm here for it. And then this one is in Suna the Butter, and it is a glowy, very light tangerine with a bit of a golden sheen. So this is also a nice topper, and then think this in the summertime with an all warm, very bronzed, monochromatic look, and then you add this to your cheeks. It's gonna give you such a pretty soft tangerine look. More blush, I know. It's excessive and I don't care. So Catrice Cream and Powder Blush Duos. I did a little dupe video a few months back, and I compared these to the Patrick Ta Cream and Powder Blush Duos that I adore. Those are my favorite high-end blushes. And I don't think these are identical to Patrick Ta, but I do think it's a nice alternative if you're looking for a cream and powder duo that won't break the bank. So these kind of similar. I have a tangerine orangey shade here, and then I have Peach Passion, which is a very pretty neutral peach. This is very pigmented, I will say. I was not expecting these from these little palettes, but Catrice has a lot of nice formulas. So this is the cream right here. It has a very balmy kind of consistency, but look at the pigment. I mean, that neutral peach tone also could go with a lot of different makeup looks and skin tones, and then you could do the powder over top of it, and it obviously complements the cream really nicely. So very much into this little duo. It's travel friendly, it's easy, it's compact, and I like storing these in my vanity because I can see the color right over top. So besides the NYX concealer that I mentioned earlier, I also loved the Double Time Full Cover Concealer from Kokie Cosmetics. This is one of the most intense full coverage soft matte concealers, but that doesn't look crepey or dry on my under eyes, and the coverage on this is actually intense. First of all, this says it's made in Italy, and I feel like makeup that's made in Italy is just overall better quality, because like a lot of products too, for instance from Milani, are made in Italy and their stuff is so good, but it kind of is like Tarte Shape Tape, but way better in my opinion because it's not as drying. With how matte and full coverage this concealer is, it doesn't look crepey or excessively crease or look dry on my under eyes. It's matte and a little bit thicker and full coverage, but somehow still hydrating in there. So I really like this formula, and today I mixed the shade medium beige with a light neutral. In the summertime I was mixing medium beige sometimes with golden tan. You know, it kind of depends, but this is my tube from the summer. It's completely faded. The concealer is fab. Powders are next. So Wet n Wild Photo Focus Translucent Powder. This I think is a really nice dupe for the Huda Beauty Easy Bake. That's my favorite high-end powder, but this comes pretty darn close. Gives that really beautiful airbrushed soft matte finish. If you're not into a matte powder, you're not gonna like this, but looks really good with that Kokie concealer on the under eyes. It gives smooth, poreless skin. This with the Milani primer and the e.l.f. Soft Glam Satin Foundation. This right here is actually the poreless trio. Oh, with the Kokie concealer. So the quad squad. So this is the translucent one. It is colorless, so any skin tone can wear it. I've seen the lightest of skin tones use this and the darkest of skin tones, so anybody can use it. It's translucent, so it's colorless, and it does look good in photos. I have tested it out and I think it looks good, so it does pass the test. Now that is a soft matte powder. If you're into a bright smooth under eye but you don't like a matte finish, you prefer something with a little bit more of a satin finish, then you're gonna like the LA Girl Pro Setting Brightening Loose Powder. This is brightening, definitely much more brightening than Wet n Wild, because that one is just more translucent, so it's just, like I said, it's going to be colorless, whereas this one is the soft pink one, so it's going to give you a little bit of that very bright under eye look. It gives a little bit of e.l.f. Halo Glow powder vibes, but a little bit less than e.l.f., but I really like this a lot because it does give that natural bright look. I have a little bit of this on today as well, and it's very pretty. They also do have the translucent one in the LA Girl one as well. So if you don't want that bright under eye, just get the translucent and you're gonna get that nice smooth look with a satin finish. So your under eyes, they almost look like it has this natural, sort of like the Hourglass powder products when you apply them and they give that inner glow from within. That's kind of like the effect that this powder gives since it's not a fully matte powder. So if you have dry skin, combo skin, or you just don't really like matte powders, you're gonna like this formula. And look at LA Girl. They came through with the packaging. It has this little lid on it, and then you also have the little net. So it definitely gives high end. For pressed powder, besides my NYX powder that I use in literally all of my drugstore videos, duh, this is like a forever favorite, but besides this powder, Pretty Smart Photo Blur Perfect Finish powder. Again, I always love to tell you guys about matte and dewy / satin products. So if you're into a satin pressed powder, this is it. The NYX powder is matte for sure, so that's why I really like it, because I have combo skin. But I don't always want a matte finish. Sometimes I want my makeup to look just very lived in and fresh and maybe not too powdery, too matte. And this powder does it for me. It sets everything, but it still leaves behind that very just healthy look where it doesn't look like you're wearing powder, but your makeup is still set down. So I think a powder like this would be really nice for those days where maybe you're wearing a skin tint or a foundation that's very glowy and you want to set it, but you don't want to take away from the glow. This right here. And then for setting sprays, of course I have a matte and I have a dewy. I really enjoyed the Power Grip Dewy Setting Spray from e.l.f. because of how lightweight it is. The mist goes on so fine. It's almost like nothing on the skin, but it feels so nice. And I love the dew that it leaves behind because it makes your skin look very glowy without that greasy look. So this right here, I love it. Make sure you shake it up before you use it. And you can use this before or after makeup. I do both and it works great either way. And then LA Girl came out with this Oil Control Multitasking Setting Spray. And the more that I used this, the more that I ended up loving it. It has also a beautiful mister. And this was going to give you a soft matte finish, but it won't feel dry. It still leaves this hydrated layer, but when it dries down, you're not going to have any shine or glowiness peeking through. It is going to be nice and matte. And I do find that the matte finish does last for a few hours, especially paired with other matte powders. So this is a really good one. We'll definitely be using this in 2025. And of course, we're going to talk about some lip products. My two favorite lip liners from the drugstore, Hard Candy and Rimmel. Starting off with the Instapout lip liner. These are really good. They have a few different shades. I have the color First Move. That's what I'm wearing today. A lip liner like this I think would be ideal if you're on the go because you don't have to worry about sharpening it, and touching up is so easy with this. But it's nice because with these you also get a little brush on the end, so you can apply your lip liner and then use a little brush to blend everything in and feather the product in to your lips so that it looks very seamless and blended. I love this color. The pigment on these is crazy too because it does not tug at your lips. Like the glide on it is really nice. And this formula does have some good grip to it. You're not going to have to constantly be reapplying. It doesn't have a very slippy kind of texture. So the lasting power is definitely on the better end of the spectrum with this for sure. And this was another one of my favorite lip liners from Rimmel, the Lasting Finish lip liner in the shade 705 Cappuccino. It's a beautiful cool toned shade. Also has a nice formula and it's very pigmented, so this is a winner. And it's so random, but I actually found this at Five Below, but you can also get it on Amazon. And there was a lot of good lip products that came out this year at the drugstore, and I can sit here and probably talk about a bunch of them that were really good, but when it comes down to it, still nothing compares to my Milani Color Fetish matte lipstick in the shade Pleasure. We're still going strong, by the way. I think this might be the year that I use up this lipstick, possibly, but this goes with me everywhere. Goes with everything. It's the perfect shade, the perfect formula, and the way that this also looks good with every lip liner that I own that's brown or pink. So it's just the go-to lipstick, and this is also made in Italy, by the way, so that's why it's such good quality. And I love a classic lip combo with a lip liner, a lipstick, and a little glitter gloss over top. That is my signature. So now let's talk about glitter glosses. NYX Butter Glosses. If you know, you know. This is, I think, my favorite gloss formula to exist on earth because it's so lightweight and comfortable, and it doesn't even feel like you're wearing a lip gloss, but yet you're still getting the most beautiful shine and juiciness on your lips. But with these it's even better because you get that little extra glimmer in there. So currently I have on the shade Bring the Bling, which is a beautiful rose gold shimmery gloss. It pairs really nicely actually with the makeup look that I have on today because it's kind of rose gold pink vibes, but I love these two because they are smooth, literally like butter. There's no gritty texture, and I think this is going to be the year where glitter glosses are going to truly pop off even more. They really do elevate the lip combos, but this is a really great formula. And then speaking of that, e.l.f. lip oils. I truly enjoyed these. These are my three actually favorite shades. Red Delicious. I love this with a bolder lip liner, like that glossy sheer cherry combo. It's my favorite. Red Delicious. Then we have Honey Talks. Honey Talks is that beautiful light nude. This pairs really nicely with a lip liner on its own or with another lipstick. And let me actually show you Red Delicious. It almost looks clear when you swatch it, but on the lips it looks very pretty. And then we have Jam Session. Love the big doe foot applicator. The way that this also hugs the lips. You're able to get into every little spot and just coat your lips effortlessly with the lip oil. It's not sticky, it's smooth, it's minty. I think it gives a good amount of pigment, and gotta talk about the new glitter finishes. This is the Glow Reviver lip oil. Crystal Baller is my favorite shade. I mean, mine kind of looks like a different color because I was mixing it in with my lip combos. This is also so smooth, so sparkly. Yeah, I'm so happy that you can buy the Glow Reviver lip oils, the one with this glimmer finish, separately now. So if you like the original e.l.f. lip oils, you're gonna like the glimmer finishes as well. Same exact thing, just the finish is gonna be a little bit more sparkly, but still very smooth and minty. And then same with the butter glosses. If you like the NYX butter glosses, you're gonna like the bling version because it's just a little glimmer in there, but it's not too much. So that is officially everything for my best of beauty drugstore makeup that I loved this past year. Let me know your favorites. Let me know what some of your standout products were. I'm probably forgetting a few things, but I really tried to narrow it down. And these were the ones that truly stood out to me the most. Thank you guys so much for being here and hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned for the high-end version to this video coming right after this. And also make sure to subscribe for new videos every single week. And I will see you in my next one. Bye.